is Krystal Everdeen, and today I'm going to show you how to crochet this Jack Skellington inspired crochet purse. For this project, I'm using size 4 yarn from the brand Loops and Threads, as well as a size 5mm hook. And the first thing I'm going to do is create a slip knot and then chain 3. Now, if you're unfamiliar with how to make a slip knot or chain or crochet in general, I do have a crocheting for beginners video that I will link in the description box below. So after chaining 3, I am actually going to go into the very first chain that I created and make a slip stitch through it, and what is left is this little cluster. However, we're going to try to make a circle out of that, so try to find the center of that little cluster and create a double crochet within that center stitch. And a double crochet is yarn over through the stitch, yarn over, back through the stitch, yarn over, back through 2 loops, then yarn over, back through the last 2 loops. And again, if you are new to crochet or you need a refresher, I do have that Crocheting for Beginners video in the description box below. Okay, so after you've found that center stitch in the middle of the cluster, you're going to go inside of the same center stitch and create yet another double crochet. And in total, you're actually going to crochet 10 double crochets inside of the same center stitch. So again, once you find that middle stitch, then you're going to continue placing your hook inside of that same stitch until you have completed a total of 10 double crochets. And once you've completed 10, you're going to slip stitch into the first double crochet you made for that row and complete your very first row. Now for the rest of the project, we're just going to be doing single crochets. So for the first row of single crochet, but the second row total, we're going to create 2 single crochets per stitch. So in every double crochet of the first row, we're going to make 2 single crochets inside of the same stitch. And then we're going to move on to the next stitch and create 2 single crochets inside of that stitch as well. And we're going to continue with this pattern throughout the entire row. So once you've made a full circle of 2 single crochets inside of every stitch, then it's time to move on to row number 3. And for this row, I just alternated. So I made 1 single crochet in one stitch, and then 2 single crochets in the next stitch, then 1 single crochet, then 2 single crochets, and so on and so forth until I completed the entire row. So once I went full circle, then I was done with that row. And then for the next row and the rest of the project, I just continued with that pattern of alternating single crochets. So I would create 1 single crochet in one stitch, and then the next stitch I would crochet 2 single crochets inside of one stitch, and then 1 single crochet inside of one stitch, and then 2 single crochets inside of one stitch, and so on and so forth until my project started getting bigger and bigger. And once I was satisfied with the size of the circle, this is going to be Jack's face, or the size of the purse itself, I cut the yarn from the yarn ball and started on my next piece. I'm going to make a total of 4 circle pieces in the exact same manner. So once you are happy with the size of your first circle, then you're going to replicate it by doing the exact same thing 3 more times for a total of 4 white circle pieces. And you're going to get a better idea of why you need 4 of these in a little bit when we start putting everything together. But again, you're just going to do the exact same thing 3 more times for a total of 4 white circle pieces, all the same size. And although this is really easy, this is why this took me probably like 5 hours to make because it just takes a really long time to make all the pieces, but it is a rather simple pattern. once you know how to make circles. Okay, so now that I have all 4 pieces, I paired them up, so there's 2 on one side and 2 on the other side, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach them together to make it a little bit thicker, but even though it's a little bit thicker, it's still pretty flimsy, so I do need something in between the 2 pieces of crochet. And for one side, I'm going to use cardboard because it's the sturdiest option that I can think of. However, in my last purse video, I got a suggestion that I should use plastic canvas. So I also have a piece of plastic canvas that I'm going to use. However, that's still a little too flimsy, so I'm only going to use the plastic canvas for the back and this piece of cardboard for the front. So I'm going to sandwich the piece of cardboard in between the 2 pieces of crochet and then slip stitch my way all around the 2 crochet pieces. That way the cardboard will be in the middle. And I'm going to do the exact same thing with this plastic canvas. Now again, this plastic canvas is a little bit sturdier than just the crochet pieces. However, it is still too flimsy to properly show off Jack Skellington's face. It would just be like too wrinkled and it just won't look good, trust me. So that's why I decided to go for the cardboard on the front side and then the plastic canvas on the back. So from that sheet of plastic canvas, I cut out a circle that was the same size or slightly smaller than the 2 pieces of crochet, and then I sandwiched that in between the 2 pieces. Then I grabbed my hook and attached it to 1 stitch from both of the circle pieces, and then I grabbed my yarn and attached the yarn to the project as well. And after it was nice and attached, I simply slip stitched into every single stitch all around the 2 circle pieces, making sure that I went through 1 stitch of both of the circle pieces, if that makes sense. So 1 stitch from 1 piece and then 1 stitch through the other piece and slip stitch through both of them. And that's what I did to attach the 2 pieces, making sure that I held the plastic canvas or the cardboard in between, that way it doesn't fall out. And once I have gone all around, I simply detached the yarn from the yarn ball and completed this portion of the project. So as you can tell, this is much stiffer and sturdier than just 2 pieces of crochet together, and that's why I added the plastic canvas or the cardboard in between to make it sturdier and look better, honestly. So I don't know if you could tell which one's cardboard and which one's plastic canvas. Obviously the cardboard one is stiffer, and that's why I decided to make that the front piece. That way Jack Skellington's head won't be all flimsy. So yeah, after I have attached all of the pieces together, or rather attached all the circle pieces together, I decided this would be a good time to crochet the centerpiece, which is the rectangular piece that you see right here. And I'm going to use this piece as the center portion of the purse, because if I only attach the 2 circle pieces together to make the purse, you won't really have a lot of room. So I need this rectangular piece to go in the middle. That way there could be some room in the purse. And again, with this, I'm going to attach some plastic canvas just to make it a little sturdier. And to make this portion of the bag, I'm simply going to grab my yarn and then chain as many chains as I need to wrap around the circle portion of the project. And once the chain is able to wrap around the circle portion of the project to about right here, so that there's enough space in between to add like a zipper, or to actually put stuff inside of the bag. You do need this opening, so don't make the chain too long, because then you'll have a closed purse and you won't be able to put anything inside of it. So once my chain was about this length, then I just went back on that chain with a single crochet. So from here, just single crochet all the way down the chain. And once I reached the very end of the row, then I chained 1 and flipped the project over, then continued on to the next row of single crochet. And from here I just made a couple of rows. I decided how wide I want my purse to be, and once I was satisfied with the width of this portion of the project, then I just stopped. And I'm going to need 2 of these again because I'm going to sandwich the plastic canvas in between the 2. That way it could be a little sturdier, because if it's just crochet, then whatever you put inside is going to stretch it out, and the plastic canvas will help keep the shape better and hold slightly heavier objects, even though this purse in general probably won't be able to carry too much or any items that are too heavy. But anyway, after you've crocheted the 2 rectangular pieces, then you're going to attach them the exact same way as you did the 2 circle pieces, sandwiching the plastic canvas in between the 2. And now we have all of the big pieces nice and attached together. And now we have to attach all the big pieces to one another. Fantastic. This is honestly my least favorite portion of the project, but it has to be done. And the reason it's my least favorite is just because the angles are so hard to crochet into, but it's not too difficult, and I believe in you. I know you can do it. It's just a little annoying. So from here, I'm going to attach the bottom portion, or the rectangular piece, to the circle piece like so. And I'm just going to attach everything using a slip stitch. So I decide where I want to attach it to the circle piece, which it doesn't really matter because it's a circle, so you could attach it anywhere. And then I'm going to slip stitch into the circle piece with my hook already attached to the rectangular piece, and just go all along the bottom of the circle and along the side of the rectangular piece with a slip stitch. And you can see I'm already struggling because again, the angles are weird, plus there's no clear stitch that you could just go into. You kind of have to like dig your hook in, and sometimes it's a little hard. Yeah, okay, I did it. And that's why this portion is really annoying. But once you have gone all along the bottom of the circle and completed attaching the rectangular piece, then you simply move on to the other side and attach the other side using the exact same method. And that's just as annoying, if not more annoying, but it needs to be done. Everything needs to be nice and attached. And once it is, you have a lovely plain white bag. And now we're going to make it Jack Skellington. And in order to do that, we're going to make 2 small circles for his eyes. So I grabbed some black yarn, then I created a slip knot, chain 3, went back into the first chain with a slip stitch, and then found the center stitch of that little cluster that I created, and then made 10 double crochets inside of the exact same stitch, and then I just continued on with the same exact pattern as I did with the 2, or rather the 4 larger white pieces, but just stopped when it was about this size because I'm going to make 2 eyes for Jack Skellington. Yay! So once you're satisfied with the size of the eyes, then you're just going to stop crocheting. You don't have to make 2 large pieces, they just have to be small. So the exact same pattern as we did before, just not as big. And after you've made your 2 eyes, then you just grab some yarn, and we're just going to attach the yarn like so. This is also a little bit difficult to do, especially because there's cardboard underneath, so it's going to be a little bit harder to embroider this. So what I did was grab the yarn and then put my hook underneath where I wanted the yarn to be attached to, and then pulled the yarn through where I wanted it to be attached to. And then I did that throughout the entire bottom of the circle portion because Jack Skellington has a very large smile, so it took up a lot of space. But yeah, essentially you're going to be embroidering the project with your black yarn, and in order to do that you just stick your hook where you want the yarn to be attached to and then bring the yarn through it. And little by little the smile will form and you'll be left with some gaps in between, which is okay for this character because in between those pieces of black yarn you're actually going to add some more black yarn in the form of, well, there are supposed to be the lines of where his, I guess, teeth were supposed to be, but in my mind I thought that they were stitches, so I'm actually going to make a crisscross pattern right here in these little gaps. Even though he's not Sally, he's Jack Skellington, and he only has lines on top of his mouth for where his teeth are supposed to be, and not stitches, but here I am making stitches, and I think it looks good, but you know, if you want to be more accurate, you're just supposed to make lines here and not X's like I did, but in order to make lines or X's, I just used the exact same method as I did to make the mouth. And once all of these gaps were filled with black yarn, then I was done with this portion of the purse. Okay, and this is getting really annoying on my part because this is already the third time that I've lost footage for a crochet project. So the last part of the purse is making the straps. So I'm going to show you what I did for my Mickey Mouse purse, which is the exact same thing I did for the Jack Skellington purse. However, instead of using black and white, I just used black, but it's the exact same method. So I cut 12 very, very long pieces of yarn and then divided them into 3 groups of 4. And then I braided those 3 groups into a very long strap. And essentially that's what I did for the Jack Skellington bag as well. And again, the only difference was that instead of using all black yarn, I used black and white yarn. That way it could have kind of like this cute Jack Skellington variation. So after I made the strap, I simply attached it to both sides of the purse like so, and you can either attach it using yarn and your hook or a needle and thread as I did. And after you are done with the strap, then you are completely done with the purse, and now you can go ahead and rock it, style it, have fun at Disneyland during Halloween time with it. It's going to be a fantastic time, and I hope you enjoyed this video, found it interesting, entertaining, or helpful. And if you did, please give it a big thumbs up and also click that red subscribe button if you have not already so I can see you next time. Bye!